What's going on, my fellow Kino Lords? So today I'm going to be ranking every single Best Picture nominee, obviously from worst to best. So we have 8 nominees this year in the Best Picture category. I still don't quite understand why we don't have 10 yet, because if I'm not mistaken, the Academy is allowed up to 10 different films in the Best Picture category, so it's beyond me as to why they don't nominate more films, but either way, let's just cut right to the chase. Let's start with number 8, which is Mink, which is written and directed by David Fincher. So Mink is a film that I already have talked about in my top 20 films of 2020 video, and I believe it was at the very bottom. I think it was number 20. So yeah, that should kind of sum up how I feel about this film. It is a solid film, though. I obviously wouldn't have included it in my top 20 of 2020 if I didn't think it was a good movie. But with that being said, it's one of those films that, you know, I can admit it's well directed, it's well written, it's well acted, it's actually really well shot. It's probably one of the best things about it. But it's also just kind of like, meh. It's a film that has its moments, but at the same time, it's not a film that I'm really ever compelled to rewatch. But with that being said, it's kind of crazy because this is the only year I can really think of where I actually like every film that's in the Best Picture category. Again, like, I don't like Mink that much, but I do like it. And that's more than I could say for, like, other films in the previous year. But yeah, that's why Mink is number 8. So at number 7, we have Judas and the Black Messiah. So I haven't got to talk about this film yet. I saw it a few days ago, and this is a film that I enjoyed. Obviously, it's at the bottom of the list, so it's a film that I'm not really that in love with. It's not a film that I think I enjoyed as much as other people did, but it is a solid film, and there are plenty of things about this film that I think were impressive. Honestly, I think the most impressive thing about this film to me was actually the performances. Daniel Kaluuya as Fred Hampton, which is one of the leaders of the Black Panther Party, he does an excellent job in this film. He has to really maintain this kind of style of vocalization throughout the film that sounds very like preacher-like. Obviously, because he has to maintain the role of a leader that really exudes confidence, and I feel like Daniel Kaluuya really captured that. Lakeith Stanfield is also really good in this film. I know a lot of people are easily sold on Daniel Kaluuya, but Lakeith Stanfield is no slouch. He's arguably on par with Daniel Kaluuya, in my opinion. So, yeah, the performances are really great in this film. And also, I find the story just extremely interesting. This is technically like a historical film. It's kind of biographical in a way. It's obviously not to the T correct. A lot of this is dramatized, for cinematic effect. But, the concept in its own is real. And I do really like how the film was incredibly informative, because it really does show you the kind of sacrifices that were made and the kind of leadership and bravery that people had to take in order to get where we are today. And it also just exposes the racist corruption of not only the police force, which is incredibly apparent and back then and obviously incredibly apparent today, but also just like in the government and just the powers that be. But there are a few things about this film that I found just a bit underwhelming. And one of them has to do with the fact that there's this like love interest romance aspect to this film that just felt like a total detractor from everything that was going on. It didn't feel like really that integral to what was happening in the film. And I totally get that this is a real person, and again, this is based on, true events. But unfortunately, I feel like in this film, it just felt really unnecessary and just could have been done without completely. Either that or at least some better execution, because, it felt really by the numbers, and again, just felt like it was really distracting to what the film was actually going for. And also, you kind of have these less interesting patches of the film, especially like in the second and third act, that, at least in my opinion, just kind of started to lose my engagement. And also, like, I expected a little bit more impressive directing and camera work in this film. I mean, in the beginning, you actually do get these really impressive scenes. One in particular has to do with Lakeith Stanfield's character going into a bar, and it gives us this long take following Stanfield's character that's kind of like behind the headshot as he's, doing his thing in the bar. And, that's a scene that I was like, oh, wow, like that's really well shot, really well directed. And I guess I expected more of that in the film, but we don't really get much of that. That's pretty much, like, in my opinion, one of the more most impressively directed scenes in the entire film. But either way, it's still a film that I did enjoy quite a bit. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a soft 7 out of 10. So more or less like the same kind of rating I would give with Mink, except I just enjoyed this film a bit more. But yeah, that's why it's number 7 on the list. So at number 6, we have The Trial of Chicago 7. So this is a film that I also saw recently. And it's a film that kind of surprised me in terms of how much I actually enjoyed it. Because it's a film that I really didn't think I was going to get that much out of. But I felt like the writing, in terms of the screenplay, and also the acting, really made this an engaging and entertaining film. Again, I don't think it's amazing or anything, but it's actually a pretty well-constructed courtroom drama that, again, is really historical. And it's kind of weird because Judas and the Black Messiah and The Trial of the Chicago 7, they have their similarities because they both, well, obviously, Judas and the Black Messiah totally revolves around the Black Panther Party, but The Trial of the Chicago 7 also has a bit of that aspect in the film, where it does include Fred Hampton in the mix, and also explores that incredibly tragic and unconstitutional raid that happened that unfortunately resulted in Fred Hampton's death. And again, kind of like Judas and the Black Messiah, I really enjoyed how informative this was. And again, I understand that, what's portrayed on screen is going to be dramatized and romanticized in a way. So it's not going to give you like the clear history or anything, but it was just really interesting to me to learn about this story. And again, it's a film that is aiming to really expose the corruption of not only the court system, but also the government as well. And I feel like it demonstrated that point pretty well. And I also like how this film explored like different shades of liberalism, how you have people who think more issues and more approaches are a lot more important and useful than others. Like you have Sacha Baron Cohen's character, who is all about cultural revolution. And then you have Eddie Redmayne's character, which, by the way, I've never really been a huge fan of Eddie Redmayne, but I actually think he did a great job in this film. And he was one of my favorite characters in this film. And like his character focuses on the more practical things like education and, infrastructure, healthcare, things that he feels like are, more productive and tangible that can actually change society. But Sacha Baron Cohen's character is more about changing a mentality. And I like how the film explores that kind of clash of differences, but also from people who want to achieve the same goal. But I will say there's nothing really that spectacular about the direction. It's certainly competent and it's well put together, but the writing is certainly what elevates this film. And even the writing, even though I'm praising the writing, there are moments that feel like a little bit too polished, and I feel like Aaron Sorkin is like really just trying to show off his writing skills, to where he's just like, hey, look how clever I am at writing. Wasn't that a nice line that I wrote? And the score to this film is also like, it kind of has that Oscar baity feel to it. There's nothing special about it. It feels like, they picked this like off a line in a factory and they just inserted it into the film. So it definitely has its drawbacks, but it is a film that, even though it has a 2-hour runtime, I actually surprisingly found quite entertaining, engaging, and also informative and insightful. So if I had to give The Trial of Chicago 7 a rating, I'd probably give it a solid 7 out of 10. So yeah, that's why it's number 6 on my list. So at number 5, we have The Sound of Metal. So The Sound of Metal is a film that I've already did an entire review on. If you want to hear like more nuanced and fleshed out thoughts, you can go find that video and watch it. But The Sound of Metal, obviously I thought was a pretty good film. It's a film that definitely kind of gets you in the feels here and there, and definitely explores just like the kind of life that people who have to go through deafness have to deal with. And I love how this film like really explores the concept of how they don't really view the deafness as a disability, and it's more of just a way of life that they have to learn to embrace. And I thought those aspects of the film were quite beautiful. And, even beyond that, like the sound design in this film is incredible. I think the sound design and the sound editing really captures what it would be like, more or less. And it's a sound design that really gets you immersed into this film and makes it more emotional. It's definitely something that really elevates the film to a whole other level. But obviously, Riz Ahmed's acting is out of this world. He's incredible in this film. I'm really glad he got nominated for Best Actor. I don't think he's going to win, but still really cool that they gave him that recognition. But yeah, The Sound of Metal is awesome, and that's why it's number 5 on my list. So at number 4, we have Nomadland. So Nomadland is a film that I took way too long to watch, and I watched it a few days ago, and I've been really dying to share my thoughts on this film with you guys. And obviously, I enjoyed it quite a bit. That's why it's number 4 on the list. Nomadland is a film that obviously stars Frances McDormand, wonderful actress. She obviously gives an incredible performance in this film. She's one of those actresses to where you never really feel like she's acting, at least in my opinion, and especially in this film, because in this film, there's not a moment to where like you feel like you're watching Frances McDormand. You truly feel that she is this person who, you know, is obviously living in her van. She's always so good at playing that like unfiltered, honest type of character. And here it's like not that extreme, but there's definitely an aspect of her personality that is really honest, but, you know, not necessarily rude, just somebody who, you know, isn't really going to really sugarcoat anything for you. But at the same time, she's really eccentric and really inviting. And I think her performance is something that really allows you to get connected in this film. But honestly, the writing is arguably the best aspect of this film. There are moments in this film to where I was like, wow, that was beautiful dialogue. A lot of it can be tragic and heartbreaking, but some of the dialogue just comes off incredibly wise, and just comes off really truthful and just really touching. And it's a film that, in my opinion, is in a way criticizing corporate and capitalist America, and also just conveying that in this capitalist system, you have people that just learn to embrace the hardships, because it's a film that really showcases the life of the average American who is just trying to survive through America's suffocated economic system, while at the same time all carry their own emotional baggage. There's a scene in this film that brought tears to my eyes, and it's a scene that basically exposes a harsh truth about the illusion of capitalism that has to do with the fact that, you know, people always complain about their job, but, you know, the system and, you know, the higher-ups always tell you, look, you work hard, you know, through your life, and once you get to the age of 60, you can retire and then do all the fun shit that you wanted to do throughout your life. So just, you know, keep breaking your back and just, you know, keep sucking it up. But I love this scene because it shows you that that can be all bullshit, because you can just die at any second, and all that time that you wasted thinking that you're going to have this big payoff in the end might not happen at all. And then you just wasted your entire life expecting that, you know, you were actually going to enjoy it later on. And it's just a really harsh truth that I think this film exposed incredibly well. What I will say is that the score to this film didn't really impress me. I actually thought it dragged certain scenes down because, first of all, there's nothing really like that special about the score. And it's not really that subtle either. It's definitely trying to just like pull on your heartstrings. And it's just a little bit too much. There's times where it's just really unnecessary. You don't need it at all because you already feel the emotional impact of the scene. But yet it's kind of just like there in the background being a bit overbearing. And it sounds like it's really just like, you know, trying to be that Oscar kind of film. And, you know, that aspect of the film annoyed me a little bit. And also, I do kind of wish that they showed some of these nomads in a little bit more harsher light, because pretty much all the people that she meets on the road that share the same lifestyle as her, you know, they're all painted as like these really lovely people who are always going to help you and are always going to be there for you. And, you know, it just paints them in this kind of really black and white way. And I thought maybe if it explored a bit more the darker side of that, this film could have been even greater than it already was. But unfortunately, we didn't really get any of that. But either way, like, these negatives aren't something that really drag the film down that much. I still really enjoyed it quite a bit, which is why it's number 4 on the list. And if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it a very soft 8 out of 10. Because I feel like this film does a lot more right than it does wrong. And it had a pretty profound emotional effect on me during certain scenes. And I thought a lot of that was really well executed. And again, a really well written film. I think the writing is the best aspect of this film. Not that the directing is bad or anything, but the writing is what really makes this film special, and also the acting. But that's why it's number 4 on my list. Just call me So number 3, we have Promising Young Woman, which is written and directed by Emerald Fennell and stars Carey Mulligan. So Promising Young Woman is a film that I actually already have a review on as well. So again, if you want to hear me go more in depth, go find that video, check it out. But yeah, this is a film that I really enjoyed. A lot more than I really expected to. Because I'm telling you, like, really what you get from the trailers isn't really what you get at all in the film. I mean, of course, there's that aspect that's presented in the trailer that you do get in the film. But it seems like, just a minor thing compared to this film's big picture. And, just that aside, Carey Mulligan gives an excellent performance in this film. It would be really cool to see her get a Best Actress award at the Oscars this year. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to happen, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pick her just yet. But I'm kind of pulling for her in a way to win. It would just be a really cool thing to see. And, like, even beyond that, it's a film that just gets, like, it gets pretty damn dark and has a really ballsy third act decision that I really respected, and it's something that just had my jaw on the floor because I was just kind of in awe at what I was actually witnessing. But yeah, obviously I really enjoyed this film. I'm kind of pulling for this film to win Best Original Screenplay, even though right now I think the Academy would probably pick The Trial of Chicago 7 because it's kind of like a more showy and talky kind of film. But who knows? I'm kind of pulling for Promising Young Woman here. It'd be really cool to see this film win some awards. But at this point, I'm just not sure if it's going to happen. But either way, yeah, really love this film, and that's why it's number 3 on my list. So number 2, we have Minari. Minari is a film that I also have a review on. I also have a whole analysis on if you want to check those out. But, for those who have seen that stuff already, y'all know that I absolutely love Minari. This is a film that I think is beautifully written, beautifully directed, beautifully shot, and just wonderfully acted as well. Really happy to see Minari get nominated for a bunch of stuff this year because I was really worried that the Academy was going to snub the hell out of this film. But, fortunately that's not the case, especially for Best Original Score because I really love the score to this film. Some people might say that it's basic and nothing special, but to me there was just like this unique element to it that made it feel like uplifting, but also just like with a slight splash of melancholy. And I really love it. Like, it's a score that I sometimes listen to just because I just love the way it sounds and I love the way it's composed. So really happy to see it get nominated for Best Original Score. But yeah, it's a film that not only did I find thought-provoking, but also just had an emotional impact on me as well. I love the third act of this film. I love what it builds up to. It's both tragic and beautiful, and I just really couldn't get enough of it. And that's why it's number 2 on my list. So at number 1, we have The Father, which is written and directed by Florian Zeller and stars Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. So I know a lot of you guys are probably surprised that I have this so up high at number 1. It's a film that truly shattered me into a billion tiny little pieces. And it's a film that I experienced something that I haven't really experienced in an incredibly long time. And it's a film that I actually got to the point where I felt like I almost had to excuse myself from the friends that I watched this with, just so I can go and just have a cry session because I was losing it. Like, I was literally not being able to control myself emotionally. I was all out, just bawling out crying. And it's just a film that had a profound emotional effect on me. And I'm never going to forget it because this is a film that truly captures the horrific and tragic experience of somebody going through dementia. Just somebody whose memories are becoming so scattered that their timeline is just not making any sense. And somebody that is just feeling completely lost and just slowly losing any grip on reality and all the memories that they once cherished. And this film just explores that in one of the most haunting but yet realistic ways that I've ever seen. And Anthony Hopkins, dude. Anthony Hopkins, his performance just really took something out of me. He really, really knocked it out of the park. And honestly, his performance in this film is one of the best performances that I've seen in my entire life. It's just true. And it's quite insane because, I went into this film thinking, okay, it's probably going to be good, but it's probably just going to be another one of those, Oscar baity type films that are trying way too hard just to get awards. But I really didn't get that notion at all from this film. The only thing I can really say is that there's a score in this film, and at times it's incorporated well, but there's other times to where, again, like, it doesn't feel necessary, and you can just completely do without it because you already feel the emotional impact of the scene. Kind of similar thing with Nomadland, but, like, other than that, like, I don't have any problem with this film. The writing, I think, is perfect. Olivia Colman is fantastic in this film as well. Again, gives a really emotional performance that, again, like, none of these actors in this film do you ever feel like are just acting. And both Hopkins and Olivia Colman just deliver these really heart-wrenching scenes. Olivia Colman is a little bit more subtle in this film, but just through her performance alone and just through the subtlety of her emotions in this film, kind of destroyed me in a way. But obviously Anthony Hopkins is like the star in this film, and the ending to this film, my God, the ending to this film, it just absolutely destroyed me. I mean, it annihilated my soul. And yeah, honestly, like, I love this film to death. It's one of my favorite films, but I don't think I'm going to be able to watch this film again in a very long time, or even ever, because it really is that difficult in terms of just the emotional toll that it took on me. But yeah, this is a film that I obviously really loved. It's a film that I'm never going to forget, and it's a film that came out of fucking nowhere that I did not expect to really love this much, and did not expect to have this deep of an impact on me, but here we are. It's a film that I would love to see win some awards, but the only thing that I think it has a really good chance in is perhaps Best Adapted Screenplay. I'm pulling for Anthony Hopkins, but we kind of know that they're going to give it to Chadwick Boseman. But yeah, The Father, just such an amazing film. One of the most emotional films that I've ever seen in my entire life. If you've been sleeping on this film or just haven't had access to it, I implore you to find a way to watch this film. It's going to be a really difficult watch, so I would kind of mentally prepare yourself for watching this film. But it's a film that I think is going to give you an experience that you're not going to regret. It's going to be incredibly unforgettable. If I had to give it a rating, I wouldn't give it a perfect 10 out of 10 just because of that score that I mentioned, but I would give it a strong 9. This is a film that I think is damn near perfect. And, if I was just giving like a personal grade, like, I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm trying to be reasonable, and I'm trying to be at least a little bit objective when giving my rating. But, The Father, incredible film. Please try to find a way to watch it. With all that being said, that's my Best Picture ranking for 2021. Don't forget that me and my friend Perry are going to be hosting a live reaction Oscar stream on Oscar night. So please be there for that. I always have a blast doing this every year. It's so much fun to have everybody there and just, be a part of the action and be a part of the whole Oscar night. It makes it a whole lot funner, so please join us for that. I would really love that. Either way, that's my ranking. If you really enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.